everyone, and welcome to today's guitar lesson on Luna by Bombay Bicycle Club. We'll be covering the acoustic version of this song because obviously it's easier to accompany yourself on the guitar using this acoustic version other than the full band studio version. So the chords that we need for this song are all kind of a stretch, and sometimes they can get really painful if your fingers aren't that flexible already. So in case you're not able to play these chord shapes, which I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds, I will also give you an alternative in case you can't play these chord shapes, okay? So stay tuned, but first of all let's take a look at the normal chord shapes. First of all we need a G7. G7 is our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and we also try to put it across the A string lightly so it doesn't ring. Open D string, 3rd fret with our pinky on the G string, and then 1st fret on the B string, and we're not going to play the E string anyway, but in case we hit it, try to lay your index finger gently across the E string so it doesn't ring. Okay, so this is a G7. Next chord is an F sus2, so we put our thumb on the 1st fret of the low E string, and we also rest it on the A string so that one doesn't ring as well. Okay, and then pinky, 3rd fret on the D string, open G string, and 1st fret with our index finger on the B string. Next chord is a B flat sus2. This one's really painful. Muted low E string, then 1st fret with our middle finger on the A string, pinky, 3rd fret on the D string again, open G string, and our index finger on the 1st fret, the B string again. Next chord is this F sus2 over A, so it's pretty much the same chord shape as our F sus2, but this time we play an open A string, okay, and we mute low E string. Next chord that we have is a regular C major chord, so muted low E string, 3rd fret with our ring finger on the A string, 2nd fret with our middle finger on the D string, open G string, 1st fret on the B string with our index finger, open E string, and we also need a C over G, which is exactly the same chord shape, but either we play it with our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string and then put our pinky on the 3rd fret of the A string, or we just leave the C like this and just put our pinky on top of it on the 3rd fret of the E string. And last but not least, we need a D minor. I've also seen him play it with a D minor 7 in some versions, but for the purpose of this song we're going to use the D minor. So that is muted low E string, then he plays an open A string, which is normally muted as well, open D string, 2nd fret with our middle finger on the G string, 3rd fret with our ring finger on the B string, and 1st fret with our index finger on the E string. Okay, so in case you cannot play the chord shapes that I just showed you because they're too much of a stretch for you, that's no problem. There's a trick to work yourself around that. You can just tune your B string up a half step to a C, and by doing so you simply get rid of using your index finger for the chord shapes, so you have a free index finger. So for example, if you tuned your B string up a half step to C, the B flat sus2 wouldn't be fingered like this, but you could just play it like this, okay? The thing that you have to keep in mind when you do it is that you have to shift your index finger back 1 fret for every chord shape. So let's say your index finger was on the 1st fret for some chord shape, you now have an open B string, okay? And for the D minor, which is played like this, you would have to shift your ring finger back 1 fret on the B string, so on the 2nd fret. Okay, so the D minor would now look like this. For the purpose of this tutorial, I won't tune my B string up a half step to C. I'm just going to use the regular fingering for the chords. So if you want to work your way around these stretchy chord shapes, you can tune your B string up, but then you have to keep in mind that your chord shapes look different than those that I'm using. Next, let's take a look at the picking pattern for this song. We are using Travis picking for this song, which is probably one of the most used picking patterns in all of music, I would say. It sounds like this. And what I'm doing there is, first of all, our thumb is responsible for the bass string and the D string. So if we play this G7, thumb is responsible for E and D string, and if we would play a C, it would be responsible for the A and the D string. Okay, so always the bass string of the chord and the D string. Index finger responsible for the G string, middle finger on the B string, and if we play the high E string, our ring finger would play the high E string, but we are just using that on one chord. Okay, we start off with a pinch of middle finger and thumb on the bass string. Then our thumb moves to the D string, and index finger on the B string, bass string with our thumb again, then middle finger on the B string, and then bass on the D string again. Okay, so really slowly we've got this. Try to practice that a little bit and speed it up, so we've got this. And sometimes I've also seen him play it in a couple of different versions where he adds his index finger at the end of each picking pattern. So it sounds like this. Sorry. Okay, you can choose to play it either way, but I think it sounds better just leave out the final pick of the index finger at the end of the picking pattern. Okay, so if you've got the picking pattern down, we can take a look at the chord progression for the different parts. Now we just have to apply this Travis picking pattern to our chord progressions, starting with the verse. The verse starts off with our G7, and we just do the picking pattern 4 times on the G7, so for 2 bars. Same thing for a F sus2. Then we do some kind of a walk down, so we just put our middle finger on the first fret of our A string for our B flat sus2, play it for 1 time, lift it up for our F sus2 over A, back to our G7 for 2 picking patterns. Okay, so that walk down part sounds like this. And then we do that walk down again, B flat sus2, F sus2 over A, and now we play a C over G, and this time we alternate with our thumb between the A, D and E string, okay, and we play A, D, E, D, A, D, E, D, okay, and if we fit in, if you put in the rest of the picking pattern, it sounds like this. Okay, so far for our verse we've got then we move on with our G7 for 4 times again. Now we play our D minor with an open A string. 1 time with a regular picking pattern, and then instead of picking thumb and middle finger together, we pick thumb and ring finger together with an open E string. But then we directly hammer on the first fret of the E string for our D minor, okay? But the rest for the strumming pattern is exactly the same. Okay? And then we just always pinch ring and thumb together for the first pinch. So the picking pattern in the D minor sounds like this. Before moving back to our B flat sus2 for 2 times, to a regular C, back to our picking pattern for the D minor again. And this time we don't end it by pinching again, but this time we just play the alternating bass to lead into the chorus. Okay, so the transition to the chorus on our D minor sounds like this. And then we move into our chorus section. The chorus starts off with the G7 again. This time we played 3 times the picking pattern on the G7, and then we play an F sus2 over A as a transition chord. Okay, so it sounds like this, the first line. There's a lot of words to come out. Then we do the same with B flat sus2 and C. So 3 times B flat sus2 and once on the C. Just waiting for the perfect hideout. G7 again, and the same thing with the F sus2 over A. B flat sus2 for a full line, so 4 times. And then we play G7 3 times again with F sus2 over A as the transition chord, B flat sus2 with C as the transition chord. Same again, G7, F sus2, B flat sus2, and then C to end our chorus. Okay? And then from our C we just move back to our second verse, and the second verse starts off with G7. It's exactly the same as the first verse. And after our second verse we go into another chorus, and this chorus is exactly the same as the first chorus, so by now we've already covered every section of the song, and you can already start playing it. The only exception that is different in the second chorus is the ending, and the ending is just after coming from our C we strum our G7 once, okay? But leaving out the A and the high E string. So the second chorus altogether sounds like this. There's a lot of words to come out, just waiting for the perfect hideout, down where the walls start shaking. I'm ready for you to find out. That's it. Excuse the bad singing, just for reference so you know where I'm at. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial nonetheless, despite the singing. And if you did, please leave a like and check out my channel for more guitar tutorials. So hope to see you there next time. Goodbye.